Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever in the world you are catching us from. Give me just a minute to go over to our Facebook group. Make sure we're over in there. As you're jumping on, go ahead and say hello. If you guys are catching the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Today is, what is today? Today is the day after Thanksgiving. Ooh, and we are live. Perfect. Let me go ahead and invite some of you guys to come and say hello and come and join us. We hope you guys, if you were in the States, you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your friends and family. And for those of you out of the States, we're grateful for you as well. This week, we did a whole week on creating a happy and fulfilled life. And it's been such a pleasure to have Rachel Joy with us. She is an expert on manifestation and also building a business from a mind, body, soul place. So Rachel, before we get started into a recap of the week, why don't you go ahead and say hello and let everybody know a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Rachel Joy, and I'm a lifestyle designer and spiritual success coach. And I work with women to create the life and business of their dreams. And this is actually something that I never really thought I would get into. Just kind of landed here. But I always had a big desire to create impact and help others. So my background is actually in addiction counseling and health coaching and personal training, which is why I have this mind, body, soul approach, because I really struggled creating that business. And then through navigating the online business, I then figured out, well, hey, it's not just about the business strategy and all like the email funnels, the Facebook ads, all of that. There's more to it. And that's when we become in alignment and knowing exactly who we are, why we're here, that's when we see the success we desire.
I love it. We have so many people in here that run their own businesses and stuff. And there are like two thoughts to that. There's like the really like hustle and all of that. And then there is building a business from a soul place. When you were like doing your own stuff, I don't know if you ever got caught in the hustle part. What made you switch over to, okay, now I'm going to do this from a soul connection place and from a mind, body, spirit place?
So for me, more than anything, it wasn't so much the hustle that does come up in my current business every now and then, because there's rhythms in business, right? Mm-hmm. When you're in certain modes, the hustle does come up, and I'll find that when I am in hustle, I'm more attached to the desired outcome. And when I'm more attached, I actually get less of what I want. Mm-hmm. So it's more about, unplugging, trusting the universe, allowing space for play and fun, whether that's, for me, I go to the gym. That's like I do meditate, but that's like my real meditation. That's where I feel the most sane. And getting a Reiki session, going out for a nice fancy dinner. Like, we still have to allow space for those things. But in terms of beforehand, I wasn't so much in the hustle before. It was more, my biggest struggle was truly believing in myself and knowing that this is what I'm here to do, and I'm here to serve, and I can serve and provide value for others.
Yeah, I know a lot of people get stuck in that. I got stuck in that too. It's like that, who am I to blah,
Who
blah,
am I
blah.
to do this, right?
Right?
Yeah.
That voice is really loud. A lot of times we have those voices, who am I to do whatever? And then we honestly sometimes have people in our lives that reflect that back to us, yeah. Right? And so it's like that fear of being judged, and then we're also hearing those internal monologues of who am I to. I know that held me back for a very long time, and then some of those relationships had to move and shift and dissolve and all that kind of stuff. But I'm a firm believer we can't have that impact we were meant to have with those people either in our lives for that voice.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I've had to, I don't want to say lose quite a few friends, but those relationships have naturally dissolved as well, because some people aren't necessarily wanting to travel this path with you, because when you elevate, you're revealing we're all mirrors, right? So you're revealing certain parts of themselves that they might not necessarily want to look at or be ready to look at. So it's easier for them to just not be a part of your journey.
Right. So let's talk about manifestation. I like how you mentioned that you get stuck in the hustle when you're very attached to the outcome. And I think that's like a critical part in manifestation. A lot of people are like, you're talking law of attraction, all of that, and being in the vibration, people get stuck on the wanting. And for me, anytime I got really stuck on the wanting, it perpetuated this myth that like it wasn't already here. And then I created from a lack space, which then put me more in, it was like this sick cycle, you know? And it was that final place of like that non-attachment. For me, that's when everything started to come together.
Yes.
It was like, oh, now I get it. And it's tricky.
It's so tricky.
It's tricky because you got to like desire it, but you can't be from like a want, and it's different. Why don't you share with everybody like your steps to manifestation? Because people love, love, love manifestation.
Yes. Okay. So manifestation is actually something that I studied very deep this past year, especially in the beginning part of the year. I had just launched my business, invested in a high-level coach, and I didn't know how I was going to make the payments because I had no job. I was fired from my job, and like I wasn't looking for another job because I was like, hey, I'm doing my business. Finally, this is what's happening. And so I was just starting. I didn't have any clients coming in either, and I only had like $2,000 in my bank account. So I was like, how the hell am I going to do this? So I studied it hard. I dove right in, and there's no one way to manifest, right? There's all these different principles and universal laws that can join. So for example, we're talking about detaching from it. That's the law of detachment, which is it was one of my favorite laws to learn about, because that's where I was getting stuck the most, was that the desire for it, but seeing it in from a lack space rather than it's on its way to me now and I can patiently wait for it. Of Course in Miracles, that quote, you know, what is it? Those who are certain of the outcome can wait without anxiety, right?
Yeah.
I was flip-flopping back and forth between anxiety and waiting patiently during that time for my business to really take off. So in a nutshell, when people say, how do you manifest? The biggest tool that I can give that's easy and applicable, I actually taught on a live video the other day, and that is, firstly, what do you desire? We need to be crystal clear on what we desire, because we have to be able to have that vision. So if it's a dream car, or if you're looking for a new car, which car is it? What color seats? Like, are they fabric or are they leather? If it's leather, is it a dark leather or a light leather? We have to like really visualize every single detail as much as possible. I know some things are hard for us to visualize, but getting an idea, if it's money, visualize how much money, what is that money for? Is it for charity? Is it for your retirement fund? Is it to send your kids to college? Is it to pay off debt? What is that desire? And then the next thing is, who do you have to be? And that's often, I feel like, one of the things where we go wrong. We try to achieve our desires from who we currently are. And our desires are at a level where our higher self is playing. And we're in our current reality, so we're not playing from our higher self. So we need to then shift and become our higher self. So who is that higher self? What does the Rachel Joy, who already has a 7-figure brand, what does she do daily? How does she, what's her morning routine? How does she make people feel? What does she eat? How does she treat her body? Does she read? Does she listen to podcasts? Like, what are her rituals? What lights her up? How does she have fun? How does she celebrate? We want to think about all those things. How would that higher self, what is that higher version of you? And then lastly, act from that place. So for a perfect example, which I was actually thinking yesterday, I'm always trying to step into my higher self, and there's always more work to do. I think we can both agree on that one, that we're never really there, right? So yesterday, one of my higher self goals that I have a lot of trouble with is being an early bird. I would love to be a part of the 5 a.m. morning club, but that's just one of the things that's not for me right now. I struggle. You as well?
Yeah, I'm like not a 5 a.m. morning clubber at all.
Oh my God. I really would love to, because you read about all of these successful people. Are you still with me? Your camera disappeared for a minute. I just want to make sure you're with me before I talk.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. We read about all these successful people like Robin Sharma started the 5 a.m. morning club, where the early bird catches the worm, basically. So if you want to be successful, if you want to achieve your dreams, you got to wake up earlier. That way you have that much more time in a day. That way you beat your competition to it and all these things. But we also have to find what works for us. And that's where the flow part comes in, because if we're just trying to, do something because everybody else is doing it, we're finding ourselves in hustle rather than flow. So I do like to try and wake up earlier, but so far that has not become me, and who knows, that might not be me. We need to listen to our rhythms as well, because that's another one, is the law of rhythm. And so that's the law of rhythm within seasons, the law of rhythm within business, but then our body rhythms as well. So really listening to your body is important for the success of your life and your business as well.
I believe that too. When people kind of push a certain notion, oh, you have to, like, you got to be the 5 a.m. club, or you got to do this. I'm like, the fact that there just is not one way. There is not one way. And for some people, whatever notion might be being pushed might be the ticket for them, but for somebody else, it's not. So like, I'm not a 5 a.m. because I don't function very well. I just don't function very well. So like, that's when I plan out my day, the stuff that I have to get done, but it's very important. I don't put early in the morning. Now I have to get up early because I got kids, but like the stuff that's important to me, I don't function very well at that time. So very smart. You got to honor your body. Now let's talk about the mind-body connection, because I know that's a big part of your work too. And you do a lot of like anchoring. And I think I read on your website, you've done some work with Tony Robbins, who talks about anchoring as well. Let's talk about that real quick. How do you do it? What do you use? And how does it all work?
So mind-body connection is huge, because where focus goes, energy flows. And I guess for me personally, it's something that I believe so passionately because I've struggled with mental health for so long, and I didn't really notice how I was treating my body was affecting my mental health. Mm-hmm. And so if we want to be at our optimal performance, we need to be not just fueling our minds properly, but we also got to be fueling our bodies properly. That way we can bring them into synergy together. So there's, like you said, there's lots of different ways. One of my favorite ways to basically rewire our brain from the limiting beliefs that we have and get it into our body is dancing. Like movement, believe it or not, just moving your body in a way that feels good while you're focusing on what it is that you desire, or that reaffirming positive belief rather than the negative belief, can do so much for just shifting you out of that fight or flight or the fear-based and the lack and scarcity that we were talking about earlier. So you mentioned Tony Robbins. He does a lot of that work. So for example, at events, I've been to a few of his events, we'll be focusing on a limiting belief. And even let's just talk about emotional states. If you're sad, or think about somebody who's sad, how do they stand? They're usually hunched over, they're looking down, their voice might be a little bit quiet or timid, right? Whereas somebody who's happy and confident, they're standing tall, right? And their head might be up, they're projecting their voice. And so let's say you're somebody who isn't even confident yet, but you want to be, just simply by standing in that state, that confident state, sends a signal to your brain that you are confident. Now, it might not happen instantaneously, but the more you do that, the more your brain registers, hey, she actually believes in myself. I actually believe in myself. Okay, I can go after what I want. So that's one way to do it. The other way is another on the topic, connecting mind-body to the topic of manifestation. You were asking about my tips. This is one thing I love to do because I think it's important to anchor that manifestation into your body. So every morning I meditate and I visualize. In my visualization, I see it as already done. And then I'll usually put on some good tunes and I'll celebrate. I'll celebrate that that desire already being here, already coming, already done, on its way. And so for me, that's jumping up and down and dancing. For somebody, that might be screaming, yes. For some, it might just be, crying tears of gratitude. Whatever it is, connecting that emotional feeling into a bodily movement or state of some sort is what's going to help you materialize that a lot quicker, because now you're in alignment.
What would you tell us? I mean, a lot of people often, like, they just get stuck, and it's like an object at rest stays at rest, an object in motion stays in motion, right? And so a lot of people, when they're stuck, they can't get themselves out, it feels like. And so it's like this constant, perpetual, like, cycle of limiting beliefs, negative thoughts, all of that, and they can't get themselves out. What would you tell somebody that's kind of stuck in that kind of a cycle, and they're like trying to manifest, right? And they're probably thinking like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I? All of that. What would you share with them?
So I think it's important to recognize, firstly, where is this person's mental health? Like, what if they have any mental health conditions? It might be different. But for me, because like I've struggled with mental health, but many, many years ago, so I don't struggle with that anymore. So there's a difference between just feeling sorry for yourself, or difference between genuinely being depressed, for example. So if it's just feeling sorry for yourself, like, why can't I? Why is this not happening? When I get into that place, it's actually easier for me to just simply honor myself. So if I'm feeling stuck, if I'm feeling unmotivated, I like to just simply sit there. Be there. Be like, okay, you know what? I'm not motivated right now. Okay, you know what? I'm not feeling that confident right now, but let me rest for 3 days. Let me read a book. Let me eat junk food if I want to eat junk food. Let me journal and meditate, put on my essential oils. And in 3 days' time, 4 days' time, I'll probably feel a little bit better and ready to go at it. Because truthfully, we can't stay still for too long. We end up getting bored of that. And so we just I personally need that minute to just decompress sometimes, and then I'll get that creative flair again, and then I'll be like, okay, let's run with this. This is an idea I can handle.
Would you say a handful of years ago, when you were struggling with like mental health stuff, would you say some of that was like tied maybe not being 100% clear on your purpose or like what you wanted to do or any of that?
A part of it, I would say majority of it was discomfort in who I was. This sounds crazy, but I thought I was so ugly that no man would ever want to marry me. And which is crazy, because today now I can say I'm beautiful, but that was like just a level of self-esteem that I had. But within that, there was definitely that confusion, I guess you could say, on where do I fit in this world? Like, what is my purpose? Because I remember for me, my like big breaking point was at 19, I went to treatment. And I remember the words I said to my mom when I asked her for help. I said, Mom, I know I have greatness within me. I want to be great. I just don't know how to be great. And so that was the moment when I started searching on, like, how can I really serve other people? How can I make an impact? Because the desire was always there. I just certainly didn't have the self-esteem to make an impact. And I had to definitely sort out my stuff before I could help other people.
Yeah, I want to say that's probably one of the number one reasons I'm going to just say from mine, and I'm willing to bet lots of people have been in that place before. It's that knowing that like you want to make a difference. There is something special inside of you, and either one, not knowing your purpose, or two, knowing your purpose and then not putting any action towards it. It's like that dissonance, right? And it's like it boils up inside of you. That's why I believe it's so important for everybody to have something like lights them, something that you pursue full time, or even if it's not even something that you choose to monetize, you know, it could be just a project that's very important to you. You have to have something outside of all the other obligations that we have in life, because we have so many, you know, that like 100%. Lights you up, or it's just like meaningless almost, you know?
I was just going to say, yeah, like you end up just simply existing. And I know for a fact my life is not one that I want to just exist in, because it quote unquote only happens once, right? So why not enjoy it?
Yeah, 100% agree. So we talked about mind-body connection. We also talked about manifestation. Oh, where is my brain today? What was the third topic that you talked about this week?
Money, mindset, manifestation.
Mindset.
Yes.
Money mindset. Let's talk about that, because money's like probably one of the biggest triggers for absolutely everybody on the planet.
Oh my God, money's such a big trigger. I think it's one of those things that You know, people love it or hate it. And I would say
Right.
most
Or
people
sometimes
hate
both.
it. Yeah, I mean, sometimes both. Even though people who have tons of money often hate it as well. Totally.
Right. What do you do to help people shift out of their negative money beliefs?
So, like, instantly in my head, my inner voice just said one word, and that was gratitude. Um, Having gratitude is so important for anything in life. It helps with the manifestation, it helps with the mind body connection, and it definitely helps with money mindset because. So, one of my biggest rules, or not rules, but like lessons, I guess you could say, was when I was in that state, paying from a high level coach, trying to figure all this stuff out. I learned that I had to be grateful for my bills. My bills were bigger than like my monthly income, and I had no idea how I was going to do it. But I had to be grateful that on my credit card, I had the money, or the resources, I should say, to pay for my coach, to pay for my groceries, to pay for my cable, my cell phone, and all of those things. Rather than saying, oh, I have to pay for this, I am so grateful I get to pay for this, or I get to have these things in my life as a result of this. So gratitude was a big one for me.
Yep. But I mean, it's so funny that any moment you do something like that, when you make a huge investment, it's like everything gets triggered. Everything gets
Oh,
triggered.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary. It can be a very scary place to be, and we all have our own stories that we wrap around it. But yeah, I had heard a while ago somebody being really grateful as they were paying their bills, or like, my friend Heather was talking about applying it to laundry. So I was like, I hate folding
That
laundry,
too,
right?
yeah.
And she's like, just be grateful because there's lots of people that don't, have the resources you have, or, folding your kids' laundry, they don't have children. And so it's like being grateful that you have the ability to, fold children's laundry too.
Yeah.
It's like a really special time because you won't always have children to fold laundry after. So I was like, okay, that's a really great way to look at it. I'm not sure if it's 100% motivated me to do the laundry, but I can be more grateful as I'm doing it. So there's that. So what else do you have going on? I know you have a huge Black Friday sale, and do you have, like, if somebody wants to come over and like work with you one-on-one, what does that look like? What is your specialty?
Yeah, I have so much. So currently I'm in the launch of a mastermind, the Elevate and Amplify Mastermind, which is for 10 women. I have 8 spots left, and this is a year-long immersion journey. It's got one-on-one coaching with me, group coaching as well with high-level guest teachers, like people who've been published in Forbes, Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur Mag. They're going to be teaching you PR, social media, how to write your book if you ever have a desire to write a book, how to become a keynote speaker. We're covering all the things, plus 3 luxury all-inclusive retreats at Park City, Montreal, Mont Tremblant, and Sedona, Arizona. And with my mind, body, soul background, I've made each one based on mind, body, soul. So that is currently happening. With Black Friday happening, I have an extra 8 one-on-one sessions for that to get into action now. The program doesn't start till January, but I've done an extra 8, so 4 to get into action now. That way you don't have to start till the new year to create your life and biz of your dreams. Plus 1 exclusive group training in December, which was a game-changing process for me when I went through it. And then I've also, because it's Black Friday, added another 4 sessions to use anytime within the year. So that's happening, but then there's so many things. I was not planning on doing this big crazy sale, but then last night I couldn't sleep. I'm like, you know what? I love this mastermind, but not everybody's going to be ready for it. And so I wanted to make things accessible for those people who weren't necessarily ready for a big commitment or that big expansion growth year. Maybe somebody's just wanting to dip their toes in and they don't really know what to expect yet, or they're not crystal clear on their goals. So with that idea, I was like, well, why don't I just put everything on sale? So all of my digital programs are 44% off, meaning you can get them for as low as $75 a month, which is crazy. They include group coaching and lifetime access to the program. So every time I relaunch it, if there's any updates, you get those updates. And then you also get access to the group coaching every single time. So I have 2 courses, Soul, School of Universal Laws, which is based on that manifestation that I was talking about. So there's 14 different universal laws in that program. And then there's Bliss Biz Babe, which is how to monetize and scale your business online. So I teach you all the strategy. There's even like the back end stuff, like contracts you need when you're taking on clients. What else is there in that? There's so much. Tutorials, my discovery call script, which I've only had 2 people say no thank you to my one-on-one program. So that's like a fail-proof script you got right there. So you're basically set up for success. And then obviously my one-on-one coaching program, Amplify Abundance, is a 4-month program. Again, you know my philosophy by now. It's mind, body, soul, integrated with the business strategy for optimum success. That is 15% off, and people are starting to go a little bit crazy over that. I have a few inquiries because I am raising my prices in 2019. So people are like, oh my God, I gotta get in.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
So where can they find it?
They can find me at www.theracheljoy.com. They can find that. You'll have access to all the programs if you want to read up more about the programs. My coaching information is there as well. If you're somebody who's like, I want to go big this year, I know exactly what I want and I'm ready to get it, I want you to reach out to me personally for the mastermind. There's no details like out there because I want to talk to you and make sure you're a good fit for this. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm also on Instagram at theracheljoy1.
Very
like
cool.
the number 1.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us this week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Go over to theracheljoy.com. Go follow Rachel on Insta and over on Facebook. And then we're going to kick off our Black Friday weekend boutique today at, I think, 11. We're going to be featuring new vendors every single hour. Everybody's coming from our group, so that's very exciting. You get a chance to, see what everybody else is up to in here and support their businesses, and it's all stuff that you guys would like since it's all kind of in the woo. So with that, I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back next weekend. We're going to talk about crystals and crystal energy and all of that stuff next week with Jen. So thank you so much, Rachel. I hope you have a beautiful weekend.
You as well. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks.
Bye.